Welcome back to the Income Code. Every morning, millions of people wake up and follow the same routine. The alarm goes off, they get ready, they commute, they work, they come home tired, they eat, they sleep, and then they do it all again tomorrow. For most people, this cycle continues for years, sometimes decades. And the strange part is, very few people ever stop to question it. Because when everyone around you is doing the same thing, it starts to feel normal. It starts to feel like the only option. But here's the question. If hard work is the answer, why are so many hardworking people still struggling? Why do people work for years and still feel like they're running in place? Why does it feel like no matter how much effort they put in, they never get ahead? The answer isn't that they're lazy. The answer isn't that they're incapable. The answer is that they're trapped in a system built around time, and time has limits. Think about it. Most people earn money by selling hours. An employer pays them for their time. The arrangement is simple. More hours worked, more money earned. At first, that seems reasonable, but over time, a problem begins to appear. There are only 24 hours in a day, which means there is always a ceiling. No matter how ambitious you are, no matter how disciplined you become, your income remains connected to your availability. And that's where the trap begins. Because life gets more expensive. Bills increase, rent increases, food costs increase, but time doesn't increase. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. So people respond the only way they know how. They work more. They take extra shifts. They pick up overtime. They sacrifice evenings. They sacrifice weekends. And for a while, it helps. But eventually they discover something. Working harder isn't the same as moving forward because the system rewards effort. But wealth is often built through leverage, and those are not the same thing. Imagine two people. The first person works 8 hours and gets paid once. The second person spends 8 hours building something that continues creating value after the work is finished. A video, a course, a digital product, a business. The first person gets paid once. The second person creates an asset. That's a completely different game. One relies on constant effort. The other relies on leverage. And leverage is what most people never learn. Not because it's hidden, because nobody teaches it. School teaches people how to become employees. It teaches them how to follow instructions, meet deadlines, pass exams, and fit into existing systems. But it rarely teaches people how to build systems of their own, how to create assets, how to scale value, how to separate income from time. And that's why so many people spend years feeling stuck. They're trying to solve a leverage problem with more effort. They're pressing harder on the accelerator while driving in circles. Think about the average person's life. They wake up early, rush through breakfast, fight through traffic, spend most of the day working, come home exhausted. Maybe they have a few hours left to themselves, then they sleep, and the next day begins again. At first, this doesn't seem like a problem. In fact, it can feel productive. You're earning money, paying your bills, doing what you're supposed to do, moving through life. But years pass quickly. 1 year becomes 5, 5 becomes 10, and many people suddenly realize they're living the same year over and over again. Different dates, same pattern. Wake up, work, pay bills, sleep, repeat. That's one of the reasons the rat race is so difficult to escape. It's comfortable enough to tolerate, but not rewarding enough to create freedom. You're never desperate enough to leave, but you're never fulfilled enough to stay. So you remain in the middle, and that's where many dreams slowly disappear. Not through failure, through postponement. People tell themselves they'll start later. Later when they have more money. Later when they have more experience. Later when life becomes less busy. Later when the timing feels right. But later has a habit of becoming never. Because there will always be another bill, another responsibility, another distraction, another reason to wait. And every year that passes makes taking action feel more difficult. Not because you're less capable, because you've become more comfortable. Comfort can be dangerous, not because it's painful, because it's persuasive. It convinces people that tomorrow will be different, even when they're repeating the same pattern every day. That's why understanding leverage is so important, because leverage creates a path forward without requiring you to abandon everything you've built. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. You don't need to take reckless risks. You don't need to bet your future on one decision. You simply need to begin building something alongside your current reality. One skill, one project, one video, one asset. Something that belongs to you, something that has the potential to grow. Because the goal isn't to escape work. The goal is to create options. Options change everything. When you have options, you think differently. You make decisions differently. You stop acting from fear and start acting from intention. You stop asking how you'll survive and start asking how you'll grow. That's the power of leverage. Not the money, the freedom, the ability to choose. And once you understand that, the entire game begins to look different. Now here's the important part. This isn't about attacking jobs. Jobs provide income. Jobs provide stability. Jobs provide experience. The problem isn't having a job. The problem is believing a job is the only path available. Because the world has changed. Technology has changed. Opportunity has changed. Today, one person can reach thousands of people from a laptop. One person can create content viewed around the world. One person can build digital assets that continue producing value long after they're created. And AI is accelerating that shift. Tasks that once required teams can now be done by individuals. Research, writing, editing, planning, creation has become more accessible than ever before. But access alone changes nothing. The people who benefit are the people who act, the people who learn, the people who build, because opportunity means very little without execution. And that's where most people get stuck. Not because they lack intelligence, because they wait. They wait until they know everything. They wait until they feel confident. They wait until the timing feels perfect. And while they're waiting, someone else is learning. Someone else is building. Someone else is improving. The truth is, nobody starts ready. Everyone begins as a beginner. Every successful creator started with 0 subscribers. Every successful business started with 0 customers. Every asset starts as an idea. The difference is consistency. Small actions repeated over time. One lesson, one improvement, one step forward, again and again. That's how people gradually move beyond the rat race. Not through one massive decision, not through luck, not through a shortcut, but through understanding leverage and applying it consistently. Because escaping the rat race isn't really about escaping work. It's about escaping dependence. It's about creating options. It's about building something that belongs to you, something that grows, something that creates value even when you're not actively working. That's the shift. And once you understand that shift, you start seeing the world differently. You stop asking how to work harder and start asking what you can build. You stop focusing only on effort and start focusing on leverage. You stop chasing income and start creating assets. That's the path. And that's what the income code is all about. Understanding the principles behind income, leverage, and opportunity so you can stop running in circles and start building intentionally. If you found value in this video, subscribe, because we're only getting started.